Hello everybody, welcome back to Fifield Junction and welcome back to an episode of the Meet the Fleet series. In the previous episode of Meet the Fleet, we exclusively looked at the various railfreight triple grey sectorisation locos that I've got out. Since doing that video though, I have picked up a few more locos in the triple grey livery, so we'll start off the video with those, but then going forward after that, we'll look at a few more locos in different liveries that would have been around in the 80s / early 90s. So some railfreight red stripe, some civil engineers Dutch, maybe even a bit of BR large logo as well. So certainly a bit more variation in this video compared to the last one. Well, as I said, it was basically all triple grey. I suppose the only difference really would have been the various sort of sectorisation sort of decals on each loco, for the most part. But yeah, hopefully this episode will be a bit more interesting for you, a bit more colour, a bit more variation. So I suppose without more waffling on, I suppose we should get into it really, and get some locos on and start looking at some more of the fleet. So to kick things off, we've got this Batman Class 47 in the railfreight distribution sector livery, and this particular one is 47209 Herbert Austin, and I picked this loco up, I believe it was from the British Festival of Railway Modelling, aka the ex-Wally show, or the new Wally if you want to call it, at the end of November last year. I can't remember exactly where I got it from. It was one of the sort of bigger sale stands over there. I think I paid about £110 for it, I'm not too sure. But either way, it still was a really good price. It was brand new as well, which was pretty good. I think a lot of the stock on the stand I got it from was sort of ex-shop stock, quite a bit of it. Still some pre-owned stuff on there as well. But either way, it caught my eye, and I thought, you know what, it looks beautiful. At the time, I didn't really have many sort of the older Batman 47s like this, the 21 pin tooling that is. So I thought, you know what, it's a good price, I really like it, I might as well go for it. So I picked it up and obviously brought it back because it's here. I fitted the buffer beam detailing to it, as you can see, so I've got all of the pipe work and everything on one end, and then I've just left the normal tensional coupler on the other end. I've also fitted the etched nameplates and the depot emblems as well to the loco, I think just adds a bit more to it. And I've also chipped it, I think it's got one of the DCC Concepts AE decoders in it, which are really good budget decoders. I really do recommend them if you can't afford sort of higher quality, higher end decoders. They are very good budget decoders, so you get some very good performance from them. And I've certainly have chipped. I think I've got quite a lot of my locos I'll chip with them because they are just that good. So I really do love them. But yeah, overall, yeah, a really good loco. Certainly haven't had any issues with it. It's served me very well in the few months that I've had it, and I'm sure that it will provide many more months or even years of useful service. Next up, we have one of the very latest additions to the fleet, actually. I think I only got this about a couple of weeks ago or so. And this is one of the older Hornby Class 56s. So it's not one of the sort of very latest ones. It is, I think, one of the, I think it was one of the sort of earlier sort of first batch premium Class 56 that Hornby did. It's in the railfreight construction sector livery, as we can see. It's 56037. Richard, I'm not going to try and pronounce the surname, I think it's like Richard Trevithick, something like that. I apologise if I got that wrong, but yeah, it is named either way, as you can see. And I picked up this loco second hand actually from TMC, as I said about a couple of weeks ago now, and it was only £70. So I thought, you know what, that's a really good deal. I need a 56 in this particular sector, so I thought, you know what, I might as well go for it. It did have a couple of issues. For a start, it was actually missing a buffer to start off with. I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but this buffer here is actually a plastic replacement because it was missing, as I said. So I just ended up using a Hornby Mark III buffer actually, and sort of filed it down, adapted it a little bit to get rid of some of the unnecessary detail. And then I've just glued that on in place of the missing one. And I know it's not completely accurate, but it certainly does the job for me. And I suppose in the future, when I go to sort of weather this loco and everything, I can always sort of repaint that buffer silver and again weather it and make it blend it in a bit more with the others. But yeah, I think overall still, again, being the price that it was, I certainly couldn't complain either way. I suppose overall, there wasn't really actually that much else wrong with it, to be fair, for the most part. It does have the usual sort of wear and tear here and there from a second-hand loco, but even still, for £70, you really can't complain. And it was easy. It was even DCC fitted as well, which wasn't actually specified in the listing. So yeah, a real bargain there for sure. The original decoder was a Hornby one, and I have actually taken that out and replaced it with an 8-pin Bachmann one to give some better performance and smoother running. And that Hornby one has actually gone into another loco now that I don't actually use as much, which doesn't I suppose doesn't really need to run as well. Maybe a bit contradictory, but oh well, that's that. But yeah, even still, either way, I really can't complain about that. It's a really good price. And as I said, overall, not much wrong with it. The motor is a little bit noisy every now and then, which could be one thing, but well, it certainly was to start with. But since they're giving it a good service and a good running, it's definitely a lot quieter now and it does run a lot better. So definitely, I think probably one of the best bargains, certainly so far. I'm not sure whether that will be beaten or not this year, but yeah, even still, I certainly can't complain. A very good bargain, a very good purchase, and hopefully she'll provide many good years of service on the layout. She was missing a couple of bits here and there. For example, the etched nameplates were missing when I bought her, but overall, still can't complain too much. She still had the detail pack for factory seal though, which was good. So as you can see, I fitted that, and yeah, I think overall, after having a little bit of a touch up and a little bit of TLC, she's made a nice addition to the fleet. So up next we have another railfreight construction sector logo, and as we can see, this is one of the Hornby Class 60s. This particular one is 60015 Bofell, and this is one of the sort of later versions that Hornby did. It's still an 8-pin version, but I think it's around the time I think it was one of the sort of the last 8-pin versions that Hornby did. This particular one came second-hand from AC Models in Eastleigh, actually. I actually bought it in person as well, which is quite good. I don't often get to go to model shops, which is so it's quite nice when I do get to go. It was purchased, I think it was about £110, I think I paid for it, but it was bought unboxed. It literally was just a loco on its own when I bought it. It didn't have its box or anything. So I suppose maybe, I think personally for me, maybe it could have been a little bit cheaper. But either way, still £110 for Hornby Class 60 is still not too bad. Especially I think one of the slightly newer versions like this. It's been fitted with a 8-pin Trainer-matic decoder, I believe, is what I ended up putting in this. And overall, yeah, not really much to complain about it for the most part. Most of the time when I have a Hornby Class 60, the majority of the time it does go quite well. It doesn't always, but certainly with this one it has gone very well. Certainly no issues to note, I think. Certainly ran very well straight away when I got it home. It does have the usual sort of little marks and little bits of damage here and there, like for example one of the horns is missing at the end. But for the most part, overall, it's still very good condition. Still, overall, I think a really good purchase. Yeah, I don't think I can complain too much. It still hasn't had any of the sort of buff beam detailing or anything fitted yet, because for a start, as I said, it didn't come with literally anything else. Again, it was just a logo, and I think all of the sort of spare Hornby Class 60 detailing that I've got, I think certainly the fully covered sort of snowplow / air dam sort of detail that goes on the bottom. All of the fully covered ones that I did have, I've already used on other Class 60s. The only ones that I have available are the ones that have the gap in them for the couplings. And so sort of, well, yeah, personally, I would like to have the more realistic sort of air dam snowplow detail on the ends. So I'll probably just wait until I've got some spare again, and I'll end up fitting it. So she does look a bit bare at the moment, but either way, still a very good loco. Very good purchase, and yeah, as I said, nothing really to note about her. Very good performer, very good runner, as the Hornby Class 60s normally are, and yeah, overall, as I've said, a very good loco. So next up we have the last of the railfreight triple grey locos. So after this we can get on to some different liveries, which I think will certainly be a bit more interesting. But nonetheless, this is one of the older Hornby Class 31s. So this is the first I think the first generation of premium tooling that they did. So sort of late 2000s roughly for this particular model. It's number 31130 in the railfreight coal sector livery, and it's also named Coal Hall Power Station. This particular one is a limited edition model as well. I think it was limited edition to I think it was it Model Zone or something like that. I can't. It's model something, or it's got model in the name. I can't quite remember. But nonetheless, it is a limited edition model of 1,000. So maybe not the easiest loco to get hold of, but still not too bad. There are other limited edition models out there that are more sought after than this, so it's probably not going to be too hard to get hold of one if you keep your eye out. But this actually was one of the latest additions to the layout. Literally, I think earlier this week, I think it actually arrived, which I suppose isn't too bad. Certainly isn't bad going. I think I only paid about £135 for it, something like that. So certainly not a bad deal by any means. Maybe a bit much for a Hornby Class 31 of this age, but even still, especially being a limited edition model, certainly not too bad in my opinion, I think. She did need a bit of TLC when I got her though, definitely wasn't the happiest runner in the world. And when she first arrived, almost barely could move herself, really quite sluggish, quite slow. But after a good bit of TLC and a good run, running a lot better now, a lot smoother, a lot quieter. I suppose, not as quiet as maybe she could be, but I think that's partially down to the decoder that I've put in her, which is an 8-pin Gauge Master decoder. I don't tend to use them, but I've got a couple that have sort of floated around locos over time, as and where I need them, as maybe I suppose sort of temporary solutions until I get better ones. But they're certainly not bad decoders by any means. They do the job, and the one in here certainly does the job for now. The motor can just be a little bit noisy with it, especially to start with. But yeah, either way, overall, certainly not a bad model by any means. Very good loco. I fitted the buffering detail to one end as well, so she looks the parts. And as you can see, I've also fitted the H nameplates as well. This particular model, which is quite a rarity from Hornby, I think, certainly from my experience. This particular model doesn't actually have any doesn't have any tamper printed nameplates on the body to start with. So in terms of the exact locations of the nameplates, it's probably not going to be incredibly obvious. I do know that they do go on the sides. So on this, so they go about here. It's the same on the other side. The other one is about here. I don't think they're quite exactly in line with each other in terms of sort of opposites on each side. But they're certainly in the right area of the loco, to say the least. So it could be worse. I could have stuck them over here or something where they'd be completely in the wrong place. Yeah, either way, it certainly does add to the loco. I do like having the etched nameplates on locos. It does add something. And I've also fitted the etched Deflo emblems as well on the ends, which also adds a bit more to the loco as well. And yeah, overall, for the most part, apart from I suppose being a bit iffy to start with, overall very good loco. Really can't complain too much. Certainly a nice addition to the fleet. So next up we have another Class 31 from Hornby, but this particular one is in the railfreight red stripe livery. And this particular one is 31247, and this is the factory sound version of the railfreight red stripe Class 31 from Hornby. And they have also done a normal DCT ready version, which I believe is a different running number than this. But that one I believe is actually a lot rarer than this model, certainly from my experience. Normally if I've seen a railfreight red stripe 31 for sale from Hornby online somewhere, obviously second hand, because these are quite old models, it's normally one of these that you see for sale. I certainly have barely seen any of the normal release, and certainly I think other models as well have sort of realised that. And I know some have probably gone, if they want a Class 31 red stripe, they probably just repainted one or something. So yeah, it's certainly not the most common livery of 31 from Hornby. I think Akira Scale have done one in this livery, but I could be wrong. Or it might be the normal railfreight livery without the red stripe that I'm thinking of. Actually, I don't think they've done a railfreight red stripe one though. So yeah, probably not the easiest livery to get hold of on a 31, but they do come up every now and then. Certainly with these nowadays, I see quite a lot more of these nowadays. Since I actually bought one, which I suppose is go figure there. But yeah, either way, a very nice model. The sound file is not too bad. There are better sound files out there for the 31 than this, but still as a factory file, it's still not too bad. It does the job. The loco does sound very good as it's running, and it runs very well as well. I don't think I've had any major issues with this loco since I've had it. I think it pretty much has been almost faultless in the time that I've had it, which has actually been quite a while to be fair. I forgot how long I've had this model for, but yeah, overall, yeah, it's a decent loco. The Hornby 31 is a pretty decent model in its own right. Obviously, they have upgraded it a little bit here and there over time. Obviously, the newer versions nowadays have a 21-pin socket, which I suppose saying that this one does, because the older Hornby factory sound locos were 21-pin with 21-pin decoders. But yeah, either way, still, as I said, a nice loco, a nice livery. I think Batman do a better job on the red stripe livery compared to Hornby. I think the red is a bit too dark on these models, and well, I think just generally the overall livery almost just looks a bit faded, a bit washed out. That the colours don't really pop as much on these than compared to Batman models in this livery. But still, apart from that, I suppose apart from the colour issues, which can be quite a common thing from Hornby, especially these days. Yes, again, as I said, overall, still a very nice loco. Such a nice addition to the fleet. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but I think it was a pretty decent price at the time. I can't remember where it came from, though. I can't remember if it was eBay or Hatton's that I got it from at the time. But yeah, either way, still a very good loco, a nice addition to the layout. So next up, we have another railfreight red stripe liveried loco from Hornby. This is one of their Class 56s. This one particularly is 56049. I got this model, I think it was sometime late last year, something like that. It's been a few months, I think, since I got it, but certainly not that old. I haven't had it for incredibly long. I think I got this loco off eBay, I think it was. I think it just came off there. I think it was about 100 to £110, somewhere around that mark, I think. It certainly was a very good price. This particular model is one of the older 56s from Hornby, so this is a similar sort of age to the 31 that we just looked at. Decoder-wise, I can't remember exactly what decoder it's got in it. I did fit it myself, but I can't actually remember which one it is. It's not the best in the world, as we could probably tell by the performance. Quite a noisy thing, yeah, not incredibly quiet. So maybe I'll have to have a look inside and to remind myself what decoder I fitted to this loco. I thought it was a fairly decent one, but apparently not. But yeah, overall, a very good loco. I don't think I've had any issues with it at all whatsoever, really. Very good runner, and I'm sure it'll probably run a bit better with a better decoder in it. But yeah, overall, very nice loco. Can't complain too much about it. I've fitted the buff beam detail to one end, as we can see, so definitely the one end of the loco definitely looks a lot better now. No sort of big coupling there, sort of poking out. Obviously, that is the case on the other end, so I can haul stuff behind there if I want to. But yeah, overall, as I said, very good loco, a nice addition, very nice loco to add to the layout, I think. Next up, we have another Class 56 from Hornby. This is the exact same tooling as the one that we just looked at. This particular one is actually a repaint. So this particular one, I believe, was 56040 Oystermouth, I believe, was the original model that this was. This one was repainted by a previous owner, as we can see, and it's now in the British Rail large logo livery, and it's 56047. Some of you may actually recognise this model, but I'm not going to give too many hints about its previous life, but for those of you that might recognise it, then feel free to let me know. But yeah, some of you may recognise it from another YouTube channel. But either way, yes, so a very nice model overall. The weathering, I think, it does add something to the loco. I do like having the weathering on locos. It does look very, very nice. It's been detailed at both ends, actually, with a bit of detail. It's not fully detailed compared to some of the other ones. So, for example, there's not as much piping on the buff beam as there probably normally would be. But either way, there is some detail there, which is nice. It's nice to have it there either way. It's best than nothing for sure. The tail lights don't actually work at either end on this model, but maybe I have a feeling that might be from the previous owner. They may have disconnected them so that the loco is a bit more realistic whilst hauling trains. But yeah, either way, a very nice loco. I believe I got it from Hatton's actually when they were still around. I think for about £120 or something like that, which isn't too bad really for a Class 56. And it's also chipped as well. It came chipped with a 8-pin Batman decoder, so it runs very well. Although I say, as I went to run it earlier, it's actually getting a bit squeaky again now. So might be due a bit of a service actually to try and quieten it down again. A bit of oil might be required. But yeah, either way, still, as I said, very nice model overall. Certainly a nice addition to the layout. I wasn't looking too much actually at a large logo livery 56. So it was actually quite a pleasant surprise when this one came up for a very good price on Hatton's website all that time ago. I thought, you know what, why not? I might as well go for it. It'll be a bit different to some of the other liveries. So I'm glad I got it. A very nice logo and nice addition to the fleet. Next up, we have a Batman Class 47. This particular one is in the Civil Engineers Dutch livery, and it's 346. Yeah, as I said, as we can see in the Civil Engineers Dutch livery, this particular one is a factory-fitted sound model as well. So yeah, it's not a bog standard model. It's a factory-fitted with sound. It's a Locksound V4 selected decoder that's in this model. So not mega old, certainly obviously older than most models today. But still not too bad, still a very good sound file and a very good performer as well. I've also upgraded the factory speaker as well to a better speaker, so we get some slightly better quality sound from the model as well. This particular loco actually came from the Great Electric Train Show last year at the start of October, and it was a very good price as well, only £170, which is certainly a very good value for one of these, because normally they can command around the £200 mark, so bit of a no-brainer, I think, when I saw it. I thought, you know what, I've been looking at one for quite a while, and so I thought, you know what's a good price, might as well go for it. So I suppose that's the story behind that. I fitted the buffer beam detail to one end as well, so we've got some nice detail on the end of the model, and it's also got the etched depot plaques fitted as well. And yeah, overall a very good model, haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. As I said, very good performer, the sound is very good as well. A very nice addition to the fleet, obviously not the most common 47 normally to come up, so it might not be the easiest model to get hold of if you're looking for one, but they do come up every now and then, and sometimes there can even be quite a few of them listed for sale here and there. So yeah, overall very good model, certainly one I will recommend, a bit of an unusual one as well, I suppose. So yeah, overall very good loco, and a nice addition to the layout. Next up, we have another Class 47 from Bachmann. This one is in the BR Large logo livery, and it's also a factory weathered example. It's 47537, as we can see. It's also named, but I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I will definitely get it wrong. This particular loco was a exclusive model to Kerno. So yeah, Kerno was the only place that you could buy it from. But it stuck around for quite a while, considering this is the older 21-pin Class 47 from Bachmann. They actually had these in stock right up until September last year, or just after that, when they ended up putting them on a special offer for £100, well, £99 something, but yeah, either way, that is an absolute bargain of a price, considering the RRP for these, I think at the time, was about 190, so nearly half price on these, which was absolutely amazing. So I managed to pick one of these up actually from a local show that Kerno attended, because, well, can't really beat that price, can you? I thought you might as well go for it. It's a bargain price, really good loco. It complements some of the other 80s liveries that I've got on here quite well. So you thought, you know what, might as well go for it. So I ended up buying one, and yeah, very happy I did. It's an excellent loco. I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. I've chipped it with a 21-pin DCC Concepts AE decoder, which I mentioned earlier, that I've got in one of the other 47s, the distribution one that I talked about to start with. Yeah, I went for the same decoder in this one, because again, they're very good decoders. Also detailed the buffer beam with the usual pipe work and everything. And yeah, overall, a very good loco. Again, haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. A brilliant model. I've also fitted the etched nameplates to it as well. And yeah, overall, a very excellent addition to the collection. It'd be nice to maybe see some more models like this, especially with this kind of factory weathering, because even though this is, again, quite an old model now, I suppose, by today's standards in a way, yeah, still some very good factory weathering on there, loads of detail to it, certainly not very simple weathering. Yeah, very good, very good loco overall. So next up, we go back to the railfreight red stripe livery, and this is one of the older 8-pin Batman class 37s. It's 37678, and as I just said, it's one of the older 8-pin versions. So this is I suppose the first generation of premium class 37s from Bachmann. This particular model was purchased, I think, a couple of years ago now, or something like that. It was quite a while ago now. I think it was off eBay for about, I think, £70 to £75, which certainly isn't too bad, I think, for one of these. Since I've got it, it's received quite a few upgrades to it. So it's been shipped with a 8-pin lock sound V5 decoder with the coastal DC sound file. It's also had an EM1 speaker fitted to the fuel tanks to give some very nice bassy sound. It's also had a Stay Alive fitted to it as well, so it's a bulletproof, reliable runner now. It literally never cuts out, obviously with the help of that Stay Alive. So yeah, never see any bad running from this. It's always served me very well since I've done that. I've also given it a nice weathering as well to just, I suppose, I thought it'd just be good to sort of finish it off in that state. After doing all that work on it, fitting the speaker and everything in the fuel tanks, I thought, you know what, while I've got it in bits, I might as well weather it as well and just finish it off. It's not the absolute best weathering in the world. I know that with an airbrush I could get a slightly better finish than this, but either way, I still think I've done a very good job on the Loco. I think it looks absolutely amazing, and it really is nice to run. Even though it doesn't get run that often, I do love running it when I do, because it just sounds amazing, it performs very well. I think it's an absolutely beautiful model. It's definitely, I think, definitely been upgraded quite well, I think, with what I've done to it. Normally, by default, these older Batman 37s, they're not the absolute best. And certainly performance-wise, like with Batman Locos of this age, and with this particular pickup style as well, because the very inner axles on these older Batman diesels don't actually pick up. So even though they've still got 8 wheels picking up on the Loco, I still can find that they can be quite prone to cutting out, which is one of the reasons I decided to fit a Stay Alive to this model, because yeah, before that it was quite prone to cutting out at times, even if everything was fully clean, you know, clean track, clean pickups, clean wheels. It was still randomly cut out every now and then for no reason. And again, yeah, that's the case on a lot of Locos that I've had from Batman with this sort of style of pickups. Yeah, with 8 wheels picking up. So yeah, maybe not the best, I suppose. Didn't start off the absolute best with this model, but with what I've done to it, it's now an absolutely amazing Loco. And yeah, as I've said, I absolutely love it. Really do love running it. It's also had some detail fitted to the end as well. And yeah, as I said, brilliant model. Really, really glad I finally got it. Obviously not the best in the world. Obviously detail-wise, they are very outdated now. And I think they're not even fully accurate as well. I think some people have said that the shape of the model, dimension-wise, it's not quite accurate. But again, it is old, so got to cut it a bit of slack there, I suppose. But either way, still a very good Loco overall. I'm very happy I've got it. Yeah, very nice addition to the fleet. Next up, we have another Class 37 from Bachmann. This is the more modern 21-pin version. This particular one, as we can see, is in the Civil Engineers Dutch livery, and it's the split head code version with the high-intensity headlights. It's 37035, and this is a factory sound model from Bachmann. But this is, I believe, right from the start, when Bachmann started to do 21-pin versions of their Class 37, because it is quite an old model now. And it does come in the old style of packaging as well, so the old sort of polystyrene tray and packaging is what this comes in, not the block of ice style. So I think right around sort of the turn where Bachmann started to do 21-pin Class 37s, I believe, with this. So it is a lock sound V3.5 decoder that's in this Loco, so upgrading the speaker is very, very difficult. So it's still got the factory speaker in there. I have tried to sort of seal it a bit better, so I've sort of glued around the enclosure in the speaker to sort of try and seal it a bit better, which has helped a little bit, I think. I think the sound is of slightly better quality now that there's a bit of a better sort of, I suppose, seal on the enclosure around the speaker. So yeah, overall it's not too bad. The sound file is a very good one overall. Again, obviously not quite as good compared to more modern sound files, more modern decoders. But either way, still a very nice Loco. I think price-wise, I think I paid about £190, something like that for it. Certainly the Civil Engineers Dutch, especially the split head code versions of these 37s from Bachmann, they're not the most common, and they can fetch a bit more money compared to other versions of the 37 from Bachmann, especially other liveries as well. So yeah, so overall it's not the probably not the easiest to get hold of, maybe not the most affordable, but either way, still they're not too bad. They're not an absolute rip off or anything, and they do come up every now and then as well. So it's not going to be the hardest to get hold of certainly. But yeah, overall it's a very nice loco. I haven't had any issues with it whatsoever. It runs very well. Maybe a little bit noisy here and there, but I think again that might be just a bit down to with age. It's had some detail fitted to the buffer beams as well. Just add a bit there. And yeah, overall, it's a very nice loco. I can't really complain too much about it. It does the job very well. Again, as I said, it runs very well. Again, a bit noisy, and obviously compared to the previous version that we just looked at, so obviously this is better detailed. It's a bit more accurate as well. Yeah, not too bad of a loco. So next up we have another pair of Batman Class 37s here. I've done these two together because these are actually a twin pack. So when you buy these two, they come as a twin pack together like this. So I thought I might as well do them together. So this particular pair is 37501, a T-side Steelmaster, and 37502 British Steel T-side. And yeah, as I've just mentioned, these are a special limited edition twin pack that Batman did. Batman did used to do quite a few different twin packs of Class 37s, and this is one of those pairs. So 501 is painted in this special rendition of the large logo livery in this special sort of T-side steel blue, as I like to call it. It says T's rail on the side as well, so maybe it's so I suppose you could call it maybe T's rail blue or something like that. I'm sure there's probably a few different names that people have this livery, but I like to call it the T-side steel blue because that's what I've gotten used to calling it. And then 502 is just in the general railfreight red stripe livery. And yeah, overall it's a very nice pair of Class 37s from Batman. Again, I think these are sort of similar to the Civil Engineers Dutch one that we've just looked at from around the start of when Batman started to do 21-pin 37s, because I think it is these pair actually. These don't actually have the switches on the bottom that controls the so you can control the tail lights and cab lights on analog, so you can have them permanently on or off. I don't think they have them. I'm not going to check now, but I'm pretty sure that it's this pair that I don't have them, so they are probably very early on before Batman developed this 21-pin tooling slightly further to include those switches. But either way, it's a very nice pack. I actually got these from Model Rail Scotland last year. I think I paid about £300 for them, so yeah, a very expensive pack indeed. But I think considering that this is a special limited edition pack, they are quite rare. They don't come up incredibly often, and they can command more than that at times as well. So I thought, you know what, at the time I thought I might as well go for it. They're not incredibly common. It's obviously, yes, it is a sort of bit expensive for locos like this, but personally for me, I thought I might as well go for it. Just a special pack. I was looking at getting one sort of on and off for a while. So yeah, at the time I thought, you know what, I might as well, it's there, I'll go for it. So I ended up getting it, and yeah, overall it's a very nice pair of locos. Both have been fitted with buffer beam detailing and their etched nameplates. And both are fitted with 21-pin DC Concepts AE decoders as well, to give some nice smooth performance. Although saying that, certainly I think with 502 it's getting quite noisy, so it's probably due a bit of service really, because, well, to be fair, it has been sat around for quite a while, so it might be a bit of TLC there just to get it to running a bit smoother, a bit quieter again. But either way, still a very nice pair of locos. Certainly I think even double heading these would look absolutely amazing on some kind of steel train, but I just tend to run them separately. That's just what I prefer. But yeah, either way, still a very nice pair of locos, a very nice addition to the fleet. Next up we have another of the Hornby Class 31s. This particular one is 31110 and it's in the Civil Engineers Dutch livery. This particular one, I think it was acquired, I think it was off eBay, and I think I only paid about £75 for it. which was a very good bargain, certainly at the time, and while even now it's a very good bargain. I think it was only actually purchased last year though, so yeah, really can't complain there. It does have a few little bits of damage here and there, age-wise. None of them are exterior though. I think it was things like 2 of the screw lugs on the inside of the body were broken, but that's not really too bad. That doesn't really bother me. So yeah, overall, still a very good bargain, I think, in my opinion, for this loco. It's had the buff beam detailed up as well, so you've got some nice piping all fitted there. And I've also chipped it with an 8-pin Trainer-matic decoder as well to prove some nice smooth running. The Hornby Class 31s, if you're not familiar with them, especially the older versions, they were quite prone to suffering from Mazak rot. If you're not familiar with that, it's a very bad thing. But in short, the chassis of the locos were prone to crumbling and expanding and swelling and basically destroying themselves over time. So yeah, it's a very, very bad thing to have a loco suffer from, and you can't prevent it. There's nothing you can do about it. If a loco does end up suffering from it, then you basically have no choice but to, I suppose, strip any spares you can from it and just throw the chassis away. There's literally nothing else you can do about it, really. It is a very bad thing. It's a shame that it was a common thing in these older Hornby Class 31s. But luckily, none of the ones that I've got suffer from it, which is good. Fingers crossed I won't have any in the future. But yeah, overall, despite that, the Hornby Class 31, as I said earlier, it's a very good loco. Runs very well, very good performer. I don't think I've had any issues with this particular one. I think it's served me very well right from the start, which is good. And yeah, overall, very nice loco. Very nice in the Dutch livery. A very nice model to have on the layouts. Okay, finally we have another loco in the Civil Engineers Dutch livery, and this is a Hornby Class 50. It's 50015 Valiant. This particular loco is a factory-fitted sound model as well. It's one of the older Class 50s from Hornby as well, so sort of similar age to a lot of the other locos that we've looked at today. I suppose one of them to note as well being the Class 31 that we've just looked at, and the Red Stripe Class 31 as well. Similar sort of age to them. This particular loco, I believe it was purchased from Hatton's, I think originally is where I got it from. I think for only about £150, which isn't too bad. They certainly aren't the most common loco to come up for sale every now and then. Yeah, can be quite rare at times, which was why I was very happy to get one at the time. However, my experience with this loco certainly hasn't been the best in the world. For a start, when I got it, I basically had to dismantle the entire thing almost fully. Just to try and get it to work, which I did kind of know about the time to an extent. Well, when I bought it, it was described as being a very slow runner, but that ended up being a bit more extreme than I originally thought, because even basically at full speed, when I originally got the loco, at full speed, the loco would basically barely even crawl along. It just barely could move itself. So a almost full strip down and full clean and service was required, and yeah, once reassembled and given a really good run, the loco ran a hell of a lot better, and it really did. Really did need it. It was quite a lot of work, but it was worth it in the end. And the loco does now run very reliably. It's a great loco to run. It still can be a bit hit and miss here and there. At times, sometimes it can still be a bit prone to cutting out at times. I think wet oil from a previous owner over time slowly works its way into the pickup bearings on the loco, because the loco does pick up power through the axles, sort of the axle box area on the loco. And I think over time, oil from the previous owner of supplies just over time continues to work its way into those bearings and then insulates the pickups from working. But I don't think it does it now. It has done it a couple of times in the past, but I think I've managed to clean it all off now. In the several times I've had to dismantle it to give it a good service and clean to get it to run properly again. So yeah, overall, it's not. Yeah, it is a good loco, but certainly probably hasn't been the most enjoyable one. I think to have on the layouts and run over time, but it is a lot better now than it was. I do enjoy it a lot more than I used to. And the sound file on it, it's not too bad. I think it's not the best though. Probably one of the, if I'm honest, one of the worst Class 50 sound files that you can get. But still not too bad. It still does sound okay. And when the loco does run, it runs very well. It's still very smooth and consistent for the most parts. It can be a bit hesitant to start with if it's been sat for a while. So I think long periods of not running doesn't do this loco any justice, really, because it can be quite sticky at times. So yeah, I think this is one of those locos that does need to be given a good run fairly often to keep it in tip-top condition. But yeah, overall, apart from I suppose the negative start that I've sort of had with this loco, it is very good overall. I have had it, I have had it for quite a long time now actually. So it's certainly had plenty of time to annoy me. But despite that, now that after putting a lot of effort into it, it is a very good loco to own and enjoy now. And if you do want to get one of these, I would recommend it if you can, because it is quite an unusual loco to an extent as well. Obviously, being a 50 in the Dutch livery, it's certainly not very common. I think this was actually the only one to ever receive it, and the loco does actually still exist as well. The real thing is preserved, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I think it does still exist, but it's now in the large logo livery. But yeah, still could be worse. It could not exist at all. Overall, it is a nice model. I suppose an error that Hornby made with it, and when they manufactured it, is that the top marker lights come on at both ends, no matter which way you're going. So probably not the most accurate thing there. Obviously, they shouldn't be on in the tail direction. But apart from that, a little error, I suppose, with the setup of the electronics. It is a very nice model overall. Obviously, it normally would have had the working fan, but I've disconnected it to improve the loco's performance. And yeah, overall, it's a very nice loco. Once you get it to work properly, it can be very enjoyable. So I hope you enjoyed that episode of Meet the Fleets. I know that these aren't the most interesting or probably the most enjoyable videos to watch, considering it's just me talking for minutes and minutes on end. And yeah, even I probably can't always stand listening to myself talk for a lot of the time. But yeah, either way, I hope you found that enjoyable, and hope you enjoyed seeing some of the other locos that can be seen running about the layout from time to time. Hopefully I'll get another one of these episodes done in the future to show some more of the locos. That'll probably be move a little bit more forward in time to maybe sort of the mid-90s, late 90s with that. But yeah, either way, hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So thanks for watching, and take care.